Greetings, Neuse Little Pod listeners. This is your host, Matt Gore, reminding you to please like, follow, subscribe, and share the podcast on your available podcast apps such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and any other podcast app you can think of. Share our episodes on Facebook and let us know what you think with a comment or review. Now, please enjoy the show. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. This is an audio program talking about the backstage antics and stories of running a small town community theater on the banks of the Neuse River located in Smithfield, North Carolina. We lovingly refer to the old girl as the Hut. We hope you enjoy. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. Please let the dulcet tones of this particular audio presentation invade your ear canal right into your brain. I am your host, Matt Gore. Stop laughing. It's my new intro.
I'm like, where did this weird new stuff come from?
Got to change it up. Got to keep it fresh. Got to keep the people happy. This is a very special episode of Neuse Little Podcast. I know I say that every episode, but I actually mean it this time.
I'm a liar.
Because this is our special exclusive podcast for our 49th season announcement. That's right, folks. If you want to know the 5 shows we're doing for our 2023-2024 season, you have to listen to this podcast. So if you're forced to listen to it, I gotcha. For 2 days anyway. In 48 hours, it will be available on Facebook as per usual. But if you want to know it just a little bit ahead of time, you can listen to it here first. All right. So I have here with me today, as always, my producer, Toole.
Yo.
And I have beside me, since he was here, Keith Davis.
Hey.
All right. So we're going to do a rundown of all 5 shows that we are doing for our 49th season in just a moment. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. We have a show coming up. It's going to be our 48th season finale, and that is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It's going to go up May 19th, May 20th, May 21st, and the following weekend on May 26th and 27th. If you want to place a reservation, which I highly recommend you do so because we anticipate that this show might be quite popular. You need to call 919-934-1873 and place a reservation. It's very easy. Just leave your name and how many people are attending, and you save a few bucks while you're at it. Okay. All right. You're here to hear our season announcement, and I have it right here, folks. It's hot off the press, and it's very exciting. All right. For our first show, and it's going to be in September. And so this was funny because I thought it was going to be a completely different show because I was unable to attend the board meeting where it was decided. And so I thought it was either going to be it's a big musical, by the way, and I thought it was going to be another semi-big musical, and then someone texted me, oh, nope, it's this show. We are doing the musical Willy Wonka. All right, you wanted a show with kids, so we actually listened to you this time. So we...
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened, because like we went round and round and round about what musical we wanted to do a musical. We hadn't done one in a while. It was pre-pandemic, blah, blah, blah. And we basically were like, we got to do a show with kids in it because we haven't done that. We haven't had a really good show with kids in it. We did Outsiders. Mm-hmm. And we just need something with young actors in it. And we picked a show, and nobody particularly liked it. Nobody liked the music. And
we liked the idea of it, but when it got down to the nitty-gritty of what the actual show entails, it didn't suit our needs.
We can't do a basketball game on our set without hitting an old lady in the head with a basketball. So we decided that was a bad idea.
And then for the longest time, it was also Man of La Mancha that was thrown around. Sorry, Patsy. But at the end, we decided on Willy Wonka because of the kids angle. And it's going to be directed by Sean Braswell. So, you guys know what Willy Wonka is about. It's about the boy named Charlie. He finds the golden ticket and he goes to Willy Wonka's factory. It should be fun for the whole family. And like I said, that's going to be coming up in September.
Yep. And there are 2 versions out there. There's Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka, which is the one we're doing. And then there's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. And they both there's the same story based on the book. Mm-hmm. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is more focused on Charlie. Willy Wonka is more focused kind of, I think, on Wonka.
Okay.
It's more...
And it's it's got the same music as the Gene Wilder film.
Yes, that's something we should mention. This is the version that has all the songs you remember, the Candyman, and all of the Wonka songs, Pure Imagination.
It has Oompa Loompa songs.
There you go, Oompa Loompa. So this is a big family musical. You guys wanted it, so we gave it to you. We hope to see you at auditions.
Yep.
All right. So the next show is going to be a Christmas-themed show. We do that every so often for the November slot, even though it's a little early for Christmas, but who cares? It's still the holiday season.
Well, everybody does a Christmas show in December. Duh.
All right, so this show is a comedy. It is the Charitable Sisterhood Christmas Spectacular. This is a comedy by Bo Wilson. Now, this is a quasi-sequel to a play we did a couple of years ago called All right, it's a really long title. Forgive me if I mess it up, Stephanie.
It's the Charitable Sisterhood of the Second Trinity Victory Church.
Wow, she pulled that off right up on her head. Wow.
I typed it enough. I know what it was.
There you go. That's how you do it.
And it is a sequel because it's got 4 of the same characters plus a different 5th character. It's just 5 women.
Do you remember that show, Keith? Did you see that?
I never saw it, no.
That was, they were in the basement and they were all sorting clothes during like a hurricane or a flood.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it was the whole place was flooded. Everything around them was flooded, and they find a runaway in the middle of the pile of clothes.
So, like, this is also a Joseph Wooten written production?
No, this is a comedy by Bo Wilson.
Bo Wilson, okay.
So yeah, this is a different writer.
The first one?
No, this is not a Jones Hope Wooten. This might sound like a Jones Hope Wooten,
Yeah.
but it is not. It is not written by them. Let me give you the plot synopsis right fast. It's Christmas 1977. It's only 3 weeks away, and the ladies of the Charitable Sisterhood are preparing for Second Trinity Church's annual Christmas Spectacular. But there's a criminal on the loose. Someone has stolen the baby Jesus from the nativity scene. Leader B. Littleton is certain that the culprit is her longtime rival, Lucille Orton, from First Salvation, a place of extremely strict beliefs just up the road. They need help getting to the bottom of things, and they call in an honorary member and private investigator Janet Murchison. The fun doesn't let up until the show's climax, which leaves the audience and the sisterhood filled with the spirit of Christmas. So if you're looking to be filled with the spirit of Christmas on November 10th and 11th and 12th, and November 17th and 18th, please
Before Thanksgiving, right.
I was going to say, Christmas gets earlier and earlier every year. We wanted to beat everybody to the punch.
Right. So we got to celebrate it on Veterans Day.
We got to beat everybody before Thanksgiving with Christmas
the leaves are barely turned, but Santa Claus is coming down that chimney, folks.
Exactly. It's 87 degrees outside. Merry Christmas.
It's North Carolina, so the weather's going to be insane anyway.
That's fair.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's instead of being in the basement, it's sort of their you see part of the production of the Christmas Spectacular.
This is a common thing where if they're trying to put together the show in the first act, you can better believe you're going to see that show in the second act. So this is directed by Stephanie Viren. She also directed the first one, so she's coming back for the second one. So we're all very excited, and this is an all-woman show. This is 5 women. So we try to do one of those every couple of years. We did a show recently that was kind of man-heavy, so we wanted to kind of even that out with an all-woman show, so that fit in nicely.
And the rest of the season's a little man-heavy. That's part of the reason why. I mean, it's good to have an all-woman show every so often.
Those auditions for that will be near the end of September. We'll have those dates for you pretty soon. When everything is solidified with the brochure.
Yep. I just have to get all the directors to respond and let me know when they're okay with their auditions being held, because I don't want to set auditions without their input.
Speaking of which, you are actually not directing this year.
I am not.
You're taking a much-needed break.
I'm taking a break.
That's right. Gearing up for that 50th anniversary.
Right.
And you're directing the current show.
I am in the middle of the current show.
So you're kind of like burnt out at this point. But this is common with you. Usually around this time, you're like, I'm never doing this again. And then around a month later, you're like, oh, I miss it.
No. Well, and that's what Patsy was afraid of when she volunteered to direct again. She said, I don't want to take it if you really want to do it. I said, Patsy, I don't want to do it. She said, but you're in the middle of a show, and in a month you might decide you miss it. I'm like, no.
Okay.
And it's not because I had a bad experience. I really did. It's just, It's when the show falls late in the season, I'm trying to get the new season up. I'm trying to get the brochures done. I'm trying to get the magnets done. Every year I go, you know what? I need a break.
And every so often deal with annoying notes for the podcast that pop up at 1:38. I only do that because I know you're a night owl sometimes. Anyways. So it's looking at we got two family shows for our first two, so that's a good balance. So then we have coming up in February is a show that we're all excited about. It's called The Lion in Winter.
You're excited about.
Listen, it has been on our list for so long. It is a semi-classic, and it happened. Isn't it nice that we can just, we can be nice about the directing, so we can ask each other what we want to direct instead of fighting over it?
Right, yes. Occasionally there's an elbow to the eye, but yeah, we're
Not
good.
that bad.
It only happens when everybody wants the same show.
Right. Everybody wants the jewel. Let me tell you what it's about. It's all right. It says drama, but it really is like a dramatic comedy, and the author is Jane Goldman.
I know you think it's a comedy, but honestly, it actually is billed as a dramatic comedy.
No, I'm not saying it's like a farce. I'm not saying
No, I know. I understand that. It has its funny moments, but it is a drama.
Well, we're kind of in the age right now where a black comedy and drama are kind of being blurred a little bit. So it's like Succession. We watched that show Succession, and this show, and believe it or not, this play is like the very popular HBO show Succession, where it's a king who's getting older, might be getting sick, has an estranged wife, and he has these 3 kids, and he has no idea how to divide up his kingdom. And instead of thinking about that and doing the responsible thing, he just lets them fight over it and just jabs at them from the side.
Entertain me.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very jabby show. These people. All right, let me just read the synopsis. Sibling rivalry, adultery, and dungeons, a modern day classic. Comedic in tone, dramatic in action, the play tells the story of the Plantagenet family, who are locked in a free-for-all of competing ambitions to inherit a kingdom. The queen, and wealthiest woman in the world, Eleanor of Aquitaine, was kept in a prison since raising an army against her husband, King Henry II. Let out for only the holidays, the play centers around the inner conflicts of the royal family as they fight over both a kingdom and King Henry's paramour during Christmas of 1183. As Eleanor says, every family has its ups and downs, and this royal family is no exception. So, if you are looking to get into the Christmas spirit, come see Lion in Winter on February 16th and 17th and 18th.
I thought about that after I did it. I was like, we're doing 2 Christmas shows, neither in December.
The Christmas season lasts from November till February.
Yeah, here at NLT.
Actually, the Christmas season starts day after Labor Day and goes until...
Did they believe in Christmas in 1183?
What the blurb said.
Was it like a pagan thing where it's just like they hung up a tree branch and try not to die of dysentery type of thing?
Well, you brought the boughs, that sounds dirty, the boughs of the holly tree in to extend the greenery during the winter.
I think I had to read a book called The Boughs of the Holiday Tree in college. Yeah.
That's an OnlyFans account.
What? Jesus, Mita. Oh my God. That's far darker than I. You know what? I'm leaving that in. You know what? Let them decide. Let our audience decide. For all you new people, if we actually manage to pick up any new listeners with this little tactic of ours, this is pretty much how it is all the time. I'm just letting you know.
Welcome to our dark and twisted brains.
3 out of 5 are coming up on a comedy, and this is Unnecessary Farce.
Well, it would be a farce, but yeah.
Yeah, unnecessary.
No, it's a farce, not a comedy.
Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mita.
The difference between a farce and a comedy is splitting hairs
Stupidity.
here.
That's what the difference is.
I didn't know that you felt that strongly about the distinction between farce and comedy.
Well, comedy's funny. Farce is ridiculous.
Okay. All right.
So you don't... Okay, hold on. So for all farces, like, you think that Airplane is ridiculous? And it's not funny?
Okay.
I didn't say it's not funny.
Okay.
If you're going to defend this, you need to come up with a better example than Airplane. Because that is
exclamation point.
That is definitely a farce, my friend.
Oh, I know that's a farce. I'm just saying, like, the way that you're making the distinction makes it sounds like farces aren't funny by nature.
No, I meant farces are beyond the regular comedy. It goes into the absurd.
Like believable reality.
Right.
Of whatever can be funny.
And you also have to have at least 6 doors.
At least 6.
Yeah.
I think we've done as much as 8. Oh, but
this one's got 8.
This one's got 8. So let me get into it. This is Unnecessary Farce. It is a
Which before
Farce.
you mentioned that, Stephen, when we did Boeing, it had 7 doors. And Steve goes, we don't have that many doors. Now we need 8.
We got to up it, so we got to do
You gotta
9
up
for
the
the
game.
50th. 10 doors, everybody. 10 doors for the 50th.
See how many doors we can get on
We
stage.
don't even know if these if we which
Who needs walls? We just need doors.
just all doors.
All doors.
The set is all doors.
That would be
Steven.
look.
The floor is doors.
The floor is
ceiling's doors.
Bro, look.
Look, I think we got something here. We need to do that some type of
We can do
abstract
that.
play where we can do like
Yeah.
all. I saw
All
when I
doors.
went to go see The Graduate back at Raleigh Memorial Auditorium when I was a kid. When I was a teenager,
Wow.
when I was 7 going to go see The Graduate.
Now we know Matt's an old man. When when I was a kid, I went and saw a show.
when all the rest of the kids went to go see The Lion King, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go see The Graduate.
Yeah.
So, but their entire set for the first act was nothing. What were those closet doors that were not wicker, but they were white and had like the panels on
Oh, the
them?
bifold doors.
Yeah,
The panel. Yeah.
The entire set was bifold panel doors.
Uh-huh.
It looked pretty cool, but it was like that specific '60s period bifold
Yeah.
panel.
Nice.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But we're not doing that next season.
And now we've gone off a tangent. This is the problem with
Just
having
on
no air
one, just
conditioning
one
up here.
little tangent though. Just one tiny little tangent.
All right, Unnecessary Farce, which is a farce by Paul Slade Smith.
Keep mocking me.
This is directed by Tony Pender, and here is the synopsis: 2 cops, 3 cooks, 8 doors. Go! In a cheap motel room, an embezzling mayor is supposed to meet with his female accountant while in the room next door. 2 undercover cops wait to catch the meeting on videotape, but there's some confusion as to who's in which room, who's being videotaped, who's taking the money, who's hired a hitman, and why the accountant keeps taking off all her clothes. All right, this is Unnecessary Farce, and will go up April 5th and 6th, and also the 7th, and April 12th and 13th. Sounds interesting. This is one we saw. This is one they've done recently. It was far away, but the show looked. It was in Burlington, I think it was.
I thought it was Temple. but-
Temple. Just past Sanford.
Sanford.
Yeah, Sanford. Okay. Yes, my
I
fault.
think that's where it was.
And it looked very interesting. Yeah, and I wish our thought process was so much deeper than like doing a lot of research and really diving in deep and see what the play's about. But no, we just saw pictures and we're like, hey, that looks pretty cool, and so we just stuck it all in there.
The other thing about a farce is it's usually slightly risque,
Yeah.
if not completely risque.
And comedies aren't.
If you would like to
Not
attend
usually. It's
the
usually a little more family friendly, depending
the
on the comedy.
JCC lecture series and what constitutes a farce by Mita Toole, she will be
Welcome
giving.
to my TED Talk.
Don't mess that up. Don't mess that distinction up around Mita. Unnecessary Farce. That sounds like a good zany comedy, and it's directed by Tony Penner, who usually doesn't do the zany comedies, but so that'll be very interesting. He's a very physical-oriented director, so that should be a very.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I wanted to do it, because it would be very physical.
Yeah.
Lots of running around, nonsense behavior kind of stuff.
I thought he would want to do a Lion in Winter, but I asked him, and he actually did not. So that's what he said.
I don't know about directing, but he's got a lot of experience with sort of that genre of show. So I think that might be the reason why he sort of he didn't want to do it and
Right.
direct it.
Well, it's nice when everybody gets what they want. For our season finale, the final show of the 2023-2024 season at Neuse Little Theatre is one that's also been on the list for the longest time, and is the drama Angel Street by Patrick Hamilton. Now, this is been turned into a movie several times, and
People might know it better by its movie title.
Gaslight. Right, which originated the term gaslight. It is from this movie. Let me read the synopsis. You'll see how actual gaslight plays in. So, the story of the Manninghams, who live on Angel Street in 19th century London. As the curtain rises, all appears to be of the essence and the Victorian tranquility. It is soon apparent, however, that Mr. Manningham, a suavely handsome man, is slowly driving his gentle, devoted wife, Bella, to the brink of insanity, with an insinuating kindness that masks more sinister motives. While he is out, Mrs. Manningham is visited by amiable, paternal Inspector Ruff from Scotland Yard. Ruff is convinced that Mr. Manningham is a homicidal maniac wanted for a murder committed 15 years earlier in this very house. Gradually, the inspector restores Bella's confidence in herself, and, as some of the evidence against Manningham unfolds, some of the most brilliant suspenseful sequences in modern theater. So I was hoping the synopsis would mention the gaslight, and it didn't. So why don't you explain that for us, Mita?
every time he leaves the house, he turns the gas light down and dims it. That's not really true. I think it's when he goes upstairs to the attic. It's been a while since I read it, but every time he goes, the lights dim, and she comes to him and says, "The lights are dimming. The gas lights are dimming." He says, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." So when he comes back, it always comes back up. So he's convinced her that she's losing her marbles because the gas light, and it's because he's lit one in another room or something, and it makes the pressure go down. But it's a little like Dial M for Murder, where you kind of know what happened, and now you're going to see whether or not he can get away with it.
It's a how catch 'em as opposed to a who done it.
Right. Yeah.
Like Columbo or Poker Face.
Columbo or Poker Face. Poker Face is a show on NBC that blatantly rips off Columbo. They just make it a girl, and she's not a cop. She's a bar waitress on the run, and she comes every person.
I think I've seen the commercials.
It's a great show.
It's good,
but she's the angel of death because every person she meets, there's a murder.
Got it.
But if you watch the old Columbo, the first 20 to 30 minutes is the setup, and then the rest of the episode is. Are they going to get away with it?
Yeah.
And it's a show, so of course they don't.
Yeah.
But that's the idea. So
I think that's more like what Angel Street's more like, is the fact that you kind of know the backstory of where you are, and then you've got to figure out whether or not everybody's going to get busted or not.
How many characters are in that show?
Well, let's find out, Keith. There are 2 men and 3 women, and it looks like 2 extras.
Yeah, 2 that could be either one.
Yeah, so 7 total. And this is interesting. Patrick Hamilton, who was a writer in the 40s, I've directed a play of his called Rope. And that play is also a how catch 'em, where you know the murderers from the very beginning of the play. You know who did it, and you're just seeing if they can get away with it. So it looks like he specialized in this. And actually, I looked him up, and he was just famous for these 2 plays. So he has a niche.
Convince somebody of something like it doesn't actually happen.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it means now. It is gaslight is a very prevalent term in the 21st century vernacular.
Yeah.
So that's our last show of this season. So it seems like a very good mix. We try to even it out. So we got 2 dramas and 2 comedies, and then a musical. Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's usually like what we like to do. We like to make it nice and rounded, well-rounded. Everybody gets a little bit of something they like.
We will be thinking about our 50th season. We have some ideas. But if you have a suggestion for our 50th anniversary season coming up in 2024 and 2025, please drop us a line at neuselittletheatre@gmail.com. We will respond. Or a message on Facebook. That works very well, too. Mm-hmm. We will respond. We might not like your idea, but we'll respond.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, let us know. No promises.
Yeah. We would love to hear from you. No promises.
I do recommend putting it in writing. Email us, something like that, because if you tell us at a show, none of us are going to remember when we leave. Because we'll go, yeah, that sounds great. And then I get home and I go, I don't remember.
We need it in writing is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So I can find it again. So I can go back through the emails and go, oh, there it is. Okay, good.
Right.
Because my brain doesn't work as fully as it used to.
Keith, we might as well let you say something on the podcast since you're here and all mic'd up. So what do you think of our 49th season?
I really enjoyed it. It's
You've seen it already?
Yes.
How do we do?
It's great.
How do we do?
Yeah, you guys did great.
Did I mess up the set on Line and Winter?
Never.
Okay, good.
Never.
Good. I was worried about that.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. For that show in particular. I like Secession, and I like that dynamic between characters. So that's something I'm interested in. Let's see. And I was a part of Wonka whenever CST did it, 10 or so years ago.
Yeah, CST in Goldsboro, yes.
That was good too. Looking forward to Sean's vision of it, vision.
It's weird. Wonka in this version doesn't show up until well into the play, but once he does, he kind of dominates the action.
Yeah.
He actually sings the opening number.
All right. But then he disappears, right?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I've only seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
You haven't seen the original Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder?
No, I've seen the Gene Wilder one.
Okay, God.
I'm obsessed
I was like, what
with
is
it. That's the reason why I'm going,
you?
oh, thank God we're finally doing Willy Wonka, because I love the Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful, wonderful movie. How do you feel about the Johnny... Oh, go ahead.
When I worked at Blockbuster, aging myself here, every night we're closing, we'd shut the doors. I'd start counting the drawers and the safe and all that sort of stuff. And we got to play whatever we wanted to on the monitors. So I would put in Willy Wonka, and we'd finish up right around Veruca Salt. I Want It Now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very familiar with up until that point.
If you're working in Blockbuster in...
No. 90... Yeah, maybe 96, 97.
I literally was it the one in Smithfield?
Uh-huh.
I literally probably rented.
Probably you were probably one of the assholes I walked.
No,
up to after you left.
no. I was a good kid.
I was a good noodle.
Because I remember specifically I wanted to rent the Indiana Jones video game on Super Nintendo.
Right.
And
So that made you a good kid.
And I went
Yes,
with my
of course.
grandmother.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
my
okay.
grandmother didn't like my grandmother was sometimes hard to please, even though I love her dearly. She's gone now. But sometimes her and customer service didn't mesh, and she didn't like the fact that it cost $5 to rent the game, and so she kind of threw a little fit. So if that happened, if you were that clerk that day, I'm very sorry.
I don't remember that specifically.
Okay, Keith, if you were working in Blockbuster in 1996,
90, yeah, somewhere around there.
what movie would you play as you were stocking up and cleaning
Now,
up?
like, are there any specific rules I have to follow? Like, can it be any movie?
I don't
Or-
remember
Just
after
answer the question.
closing
Well,
if we had any rules. During hours, we had to play that stupid loop until we broke it, which sometimes we did it on purpose. But we had to pay like G or PG during
This is
the
why
day.
they went down. This is why they went under.
G or PG?
No. But after closing, I think we could play whatever we wanted.
All right.
After closing,
yes,
whatever you
you can
want.
play whatever you want. As long as it's out by 1996.
Okay. Let's see. Well, there's some good options. I can play Pulp
Pop in Blue
Fiction.
Velvet.
Blue Velvet. Yeah, like an hour and 15-minute mark in that movie. I wonder how far you're gonna get in there.
So yeah, once the really bad stuff starts happening, we know it's time to go.
Now, Pulp Fiction's always a good choice because that's kind of like you have these stories in between, and it's
Right.
not like you're stopping in between anything.
So right when
Hour
Somebody's
50.
head-
Mia Wallace starts to OD is when
Yeah,
you guys are
that's
heading
right.
home.
Yep, that's right.
What was I gonna say? I was always amused by the people coming in. It's like, where are the dirty movies? It's like we don't have dirty movies. In
I bet you
Blockbuster.
did. I bet you had a lot of those people.
The dirtiest movie we had was like Striptease.
You
In
didn't
my
have like a back section or nothing.
you
No.
didn't, no, they can't have. It's like corporate, man. You can't have like dirty movies in the back. Old men looking
I
at
was
that
like,
stuff.
you need to go A1 because they might
yeah.
have a beaded curtain that we don't
There
have
you
one
go.
of
Listen.
those.
All right. That is our 49th season. We hope you've enjoyed our ramblings, and we tried to save most of it for the tail end because you guys probably want to know the shows and all that. If you've made it,
I like the fact we're like, it's such a friendly, like, and then we just went off the deep
and then
end
we
there
just
at the end.
started talking about like, does Blockbuster have dirty movies? On that high note, we're gonna leave you to your thoughts this evening. I'm sure we've given you a lot to think about.
Quality is what we're going for.
Class A podcasting.
That's right.
That's what we got here, folks.
I'm honored to be a guest.
Were you honored
That's
to watch us do the third 49th season overview, Keith?
So we're gonna
course.
do. We're gonna sell tickets from now on. Come watch us podcast.
Oh my God, that would be listen, sometimes in my ideas of grandeur, I think like, what are you doing? Why are you doing a podcast? You can barely put together a sentence. Why are you recording your voice? And then I'm like, can you imagine if people actually watched us do this? Oh, I die.
I was like, when we first started, somebody's like, well, it would be really good if you had video. I'm like,
No way. No way. Let me tell you, I cannot speak for Mita or Keith, but I am not camera ready right now. I'm not ready to go. All right, folks, we're going to leave you to it. So thank you, Mita, for staying after and recording this crazy podcast episode.
Yep.
And thank you, Keith, for jumping in every now and then.
Of course.
I appreciate it. All right, for Neuse Little Podcast, I'm Matt Gore. That's Keith Davis. That's Mita Toole.
Oh,
We'll see you later, folks.
bye.
But you can't see us. It's the podcast. Bye. Credits for the show. Your host and creator is Matt Gore. That's me. My producer and editor is Mita Toole.
That's me.
Music is by Cody Walker. Please go look up Cody on Cody Walker Music on YouTube, and he's also on Cody Walker Music on Facebook as well. He's local, so and he's got a couple of albums out. Easy listening, John Denver type of guitar voice, that Cody Walker. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.